Hello and welcome to Thanks for Swiping Left, episode 1. I am Matthew Conrado.
And I'm Rossi Lewis.
And we are so excited to start off this podcast with y'all. But first off, who are we? Because I'm sure my people know me and Rossi people know him, but who the fuck are each other?
Who are you?
Who the fuck am I? That's my existential question. Like I said, I'm Matthew Conrado. I am based in New York City. I deem myself the Samantha Jones of the group, but I think the real queen I should call myself is Kris Jenner.
100%.
Some call me a momager. I have been in marketing my whole life. I now started a company called the Alphabet Mafia Consultancy, which I'm super excited about. I collect 10% wherever I go. That's my brand. No. Oh, I'm also half Ecuadorian, half Italian. I love saying that to you. My dad's from Ecuador. I'm first gen, which is pretty cool. And yeah, that's me.
I didn't know Ecuadorian, Matthew. I thought it was just...
I'm Italian, Ecuadorian, a Gemini, and from New Jersey. I am the recipe for bad shit crazy.
I am dying to come to a Thanksgiving with your family. Can I just say, dying?
You mean the round table for the
Yeah,
traders?
the round table.
The round table. Yes, that is what Thanksgiving dinner is like. And we would love to have you because my mom would love you. She always picks a new gay every year that she likes more than me, just because they don't fight with her on politics.
It's like a gay shelter every year.
It is.
I love that.
So Rossi, who are you?
I am Rossi. I am 32 and I'm currently living on the motorway, it sounds like, in London. I grew up in Wales, and for the last 6 years, I've been a nomad myself. That's how I met Matthew. I'm a hopeless romantic that continuously gets his heart broken. But yeah, I'm in social media. I look after high-profile clients' accounts, and I'm very into my socials. Which
Rossi's a star. Rossi is a star.
Well, I wouldn't call myself a star, but get in there. Maybe just I
call you a star.
Oh, thanks, love. But yeah, I'm just a very, very humble girly, just living life and enjoying life as it comes. Do you know what I mean?
On a show too.
Oh yeah, but I don't mention that. I basically went on a dating show that was star. It was basically imagine Love Island for star signs, and we were the token gay couple in it. I mean, there was literally the both of us in it, but at the end of the day, we can have the sun in your moon and your moon in your stars and whatever. But at the end of the day, we were both bottoms on that show.
The tale of Rossi's life. Connected
Two bottoms.
With emotional bottoms that just don't.
Yeah. But I like to call myself Verse Matthew, but no one believes me. Do you know what I mean?
I believe you. You could top me whenever you want.
Yeah, thank you, love. Thanks.
A hot little flip session. Although I feel like that would be boyfriend twins because we do kind of look alike.
We do. Which is not a bad thing.
I need to have the curtains. I've been doing the Gen Z curls. You've been doing the Gen Z curtains.
You met me with these curtains, and I brought these curtains back because I just feel I look so much better with them. Don't you think?
Yeah, I really like them.
Yeah,
I would subscribe to our link. How about this? Let's start it. Are we starting an OnlyFans now too?
The spicy link? Is there a spicy?
Is there a spicy link? Yeah,
there's going to be a spicy link, 100% after
call the press. Oh my gosh. Well, everyone, welcome to Thanks for Swiping Left. This is the podcast where we talk about how rejection isn't the end of your story. It's just the plot twist. We're all about those moments where a no turns into the best thing that could ever happen, leading through breakthroughs, unexpected wins, and some pretty great life lessons.
Maybe it was a job you didn't get, a relationship that crashed and burned, or a plan that completely fell apart. Whatever it was, we're here to uncover the silver linings and the surprising ways those setbacks actually set us up for something better.
So, Rossi, today's theme, thanks for breaking up with me. You have the story of the century. I know our listeners are dying to hear about. In today's episode, we'll be discussing why breakups are not the end, but the start of a new beginning. So I'll start off with a question to Rossi because we all want to know how. Well, let's start off. How are you doing?
I'm actually doing really bloody well at the moment. Now, Matthew and I have been speaking for the last 5 weeks, doing like the plans of this pod. And Matthew, you can vouch to me. What was I like on day one?
You know, Rossi had such a light, and that light was just out. And it was not the Rossi that I knew, and it was a huge learning curve for you. I feel like it's been super bonding for the two of us
For
to go
sure.
through this experience together as you're
Yeah.
going through that. So what happened? Let's help everyone. What happened?
What happened? Well, I don't want to drag him. We're classy girls here. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and
But
that actually, before we start, this podcast too is not about retaliation
mm-mm,
from our exes, from the people that have wronged us, but it's merely us showing gratitude and saying thank you for us to move on. And that's
100%.
really what this podcast is about. And that's how we want to keep the light and energy for the series. So yeah, tell
Definitely.
us.
So, listen, I had a feeling probably throughout the entire relationship, okay? Like, something happened at the very beginning that really showed his true colors. And it was from that I should have taken my life lessons that I'd learned from past experiences and relationships and been like, do you know what? You've shown me who you are. It is time to move on. We were like best friends. Like, we
Yeah.
literally were best friends. And I
Yeah.
think that was for me the first time ever that I'd experienced a relationship with someone who felt like that. And I
Yeah.
think that was for me was a really different thing to have. There were things that I was noticing from my past relationship that he was saying was past trauma. And I was like, this isn't past trauma. This is like past patterns that I'm noticing in you that I've experienced in the past. And my concerns were always and ultimately the fact that he wasn't loyal. And I think when you can see someone's capabilities of lying, that's a
Yeah.
worry. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So he ended up getting help and going to therapy because apparently, he's always done it all his life and he doesn't want to do it anymore, blah, blah, blah. So we were working on things. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was noticing throughout the relationship that I was also changing as a person. I was a little bit kind of paranoid and I was, checking things that I wouldn't usually check because, and I will say this throughout this podcast, my gut instinct was telling me something wasn't right. When you're fighting with your gut and your gut is going against the morals and values that you hold as yourself, you will never be settled. You'll be fighting with yourself. So that was happening more and more and more. And then a friend of mine very kindly invited us to a villa that they had in South Africa. The invite was to me because I'm obviously the friend and he had the extension. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Period.
bring your boyfriend if he wants to. So we have the trip and still something is off. I come back and I say to him that, listen, what you're promising and what you're promising to change, the words never match the actions, right? So I can't keep feeling like this. I don't like who I am because I actually want to get on with shit and you're taking up my brain space. So I'm going to give you until the end of February to see if you can implement some of these changes. And if you can't, we'll sit down and we'll have an open conversation about potentially going our separate ways or what we can do. Because at the end of the day, we're best mates, right? And I don't want to lose that. So we need to be open and honest about how we're feeling. We had an event on the Saturday, and I said to him, listen, we're just going into these 30 days. Let's not have a drink. He said, I've had a hard week and work. I was like, okay, we'll have a few, but just don't get pissed. We go to the event. Of course, the boy gets pissed. I leave because I just can't be bothered. He stays. So I go home, I do my skincare, get into bed fresh. And I notice that his Apple Watch is on the side of the bed and the gut is like ding, ding, ding. Let's
Yeah.
do this shit,
The gut
right?
is gutting. The
The
gut is
gut
gutting.
is screaming like it's been screaming at me for months. Now, bearing in mind, I don't expect really to find anything on this, right? I click on the messages, and there it is. The first
No.
message. How are you going to sneak away from your boyfriend tomorrow?
No.
And I just sank because I clicked on the date and I'm like, we're in South Africa on that date. So what's happening here?
Yeah.
So I click on the message, I go through, and there's just filth, 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 filth.
Naughty, naughty, naughty.
So of course
Girl.
I see red Matthew. I'm
Yeah.
like, I call my friend who's at the party. I go, tell him to look at his phone, and he rings me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Like I said, I
I'm
knew
over
it.
it. I'm
I
over it.
knew it. You're in South Africa on a free trip that my friends invited you on, and you go into the spare room and you download Grinder and you're messaging guys about hooking up and how you're going to sneak away from me. Who does that? Like, but of course, this wasn't the first time because if you're comfortable enough to do it with me in the house, I'm then thinking, what have you done throughout this relationship? And what has happened that I don't know about, that I've
Yeah.
asked you continuously about? And this then unraveled a whole load of lies. And you know that? Is it the Miss Teresa, who the fuck did I marry?
Yeah.
It was like, who the fuck was I dating? And I think it's in that moment, Matthew, that really kills you as a person. It is the lies and the manipulation and the thought process of what you've had to do to hide everything that you were doing. And I
Yeah.
think that is not even a friend at that point. You know what I mean?
So to recap, you're losing a best friend who you've built a life with.
Yeah.
You are on a trip with a friend that, so graciously invited you, and then you brought him. Not, and that's not like I don't want to say that's like that's my friend type thing, but like, it's a moment for you to share away from your normal home. He does not treat you with loyalty. You come back and you're still feeling this insecurity. You're still feeling this gut instinct of, fuck, what am I doing? Who is this person? And then come to find out your gut was right. You check the Apple Watch,
Mm-hmm.
wild, on the side of the bed, and find out he's not being loyal. And that's crazy. And it's so sad because that, I think, like you said in the beginning, is you're losing your best friend.
Yeah. Above everything else, you're losing the closeness. You're losing this person who you're building something with. And not only are you losing it, you then question, did I even have it?
Yeah,
Because if you're doing all of this behind my back, then what did I have? Like, what was it that we were receiving? What were those close moments? What were those moments that we had? Were they all a lie? And
totally.
that's what then rips you apart. I won't go into detail,
Yeah.
but if I went through the entire year experience that I found out, this could be a Netflix documentary.
Oh, I
Like,
believe it.
a point, he wouldn't even let me hang out with his friends because the stories wouldn't add up. And it's just really sad because, I do believe, and I believe this in everyone, there is a kindness and there's a genuine want for a life that he wants. And since the breakup, we've obviously had contact, and it was through that contact I got my closure because I then found out about everything. I found out what his problems are. And inevitably, like, he really wants to be the guy who he was in the relationship.
Yeah.
But he has this side to him and he has this life that he is unable to stop having because he has the urges that he has. Now he wants the person at home. He doesn't want an open relationship.
He wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. That's the
Yeah.
problem. And I think for anyone listening, like if you're dealing with somebody who just doesn't know what they want, it's not only not your issue, but I think it probes the question, what do you want? And it's you understand our values aren't aligning on
Mm-mm.
what each of us want. And that's when it's like, again, I've been reading the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. It's like, hey, it will save you so much time and heartache if you just accept people for who they are. They have to know who they are. What are your values? Do they align with mine? If they don't, then that's okay. And that
100%.
so Rossi, tell us a little bit how you coped with dealing with all that.
It was one of the. Now, I've been through breakups, okay? So when your mind plummets and you think of the worst in everything, that's the scariest place to be. And I've experienced breakups before, and I've experienced the depth of depression and how scary everything feels. So what I took from my past experiences was knew no matter how low I felt, things always get better.
Yeah.
But in this case, I now he asked me to move in on a yacht in Mykonos, right? So, and I said to him, "Are you sure? Because your actions aren't really showing, that no, I want you to move in." So, bearing in mind, I've given up my home,
No,
right?
yeah, and you know what? That normally happens too. I feel like when people know relationships are on the verge of brink, they want to put a band-aid and they do so by like asking to move in, asking to get married, posting on social media how happy we are.
Yeah.
Like you always know who is about to break up with somebody when they're like, I'm with the love of my life. We've been together forever. You make me smile every day. Bullshit.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Bullshit.
So
Bullshit, mama.
so I'm living with him. So to go through not only the breakup, I'm going through homelessness
Yeah.
and I'm self-employed. So my work is going to take a hit from the fact that my mental state can't be creative and I'm not in the headspace to go and film and do funny videos with my clients. So in the
Crazy. So how are you coping with that?
well, it's been 5 weeks now, and I
Yeah.
think the first 4 weeks were no, the first 3 weeks were just traumatic, like
Yeah.
super traumatic. I've lost a stone. I didn't really have a stone to lose. So it was my eating, it was the anxiety, it was the
Yeah.
depression, it was the homelessness. Thank goodness I had two friends, Joanne and Michelle. Like, thank you so much. They won't be listening because they're absolutely sick of hearing me talk. They don't want to hear me talk anymore.
But they are good friends. They were there for you when you needed it.
But they're good friends. But they don't want to hear me talk anymore. They housed me. Thank goodness for them because I was able to stay in the area where I was living with him because they live close by. And they housed me and nurtured me, which is something I really needed because London's like New York, Matthew, is fucking lonely. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's lonely.
A lot of people, but at the end of the day, it's you and it's
Yeah,
you in a dream, honey.
literally. So I luckily, kept my room on a sublet. I rented it to my friend. And I called him. I was like, listen, you don't have to get out straight away. Just you have a month. I just need to come back to my space. So I had my place on the side. So I knew I had that as an end thing, but I had like 5 weeks to get my work back up, to get my mental health back up. And
Yeah.
it's just been, I think the main thing was just finding anything in my day to get me through, whether it was brushing my teeth, having a shower, because ultimately you don't want to do anything. And I think
Yeah.
you do have to just sit in that for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
It's okay not to be okay. I think that's the first
100%.
thing. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to sit in your. Yeah, I've been through a lot of therapy too. I've done my own breakup, and we can have a whole other episode on that. But I think when I was with my therapist, I learned that it's okay not to be okay, but take a step. Take a step and recognize when you're taking a step. If it's taking a shower, making yourself food, getting up to go outside for a walk, calling your friend, do something that makes you feel like, hey, today was a win. I think that is the best way to cope with the immediacy of the breakup is take one step at a time to feel like there's success.
Yeah.
And again, success doesn't mean, hey, I have to get back up, go to work, and be,
But you
this
do
kick-ass
pressure yourself
killer.
to do that, like you do, and it's like,
Yeah.
especially when you see them go on for so, like they're getting on and
Oh
they're
yeah.
doing their life, and you're like, how are you doing that? But they're the ones who did the act that broke up, so they were
Of
already
course.
there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Of course. Of
But
course. And that's where I think like the avoidant anxious, another book I would love, I say anyone should read this after a breakup is Attached. I don't know the name of the author, but I will look that up.
because I was literally not even making. I had like one meal a day,
Yeah.
and it was just like, thank goodness my headspace has changed. I mean, the meds help, Matthew. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
The
Like
Lexapro,
I
Lexapro.
had to go on meds, and do you know what? I would have been ashamed to say that, but no, I went on the meds. They just got me through the nights I
Yeah.
couldn't sleep. They got me
Yeah.
through the days I didn't want to get up, and it just gave me the boost to get back on the horse and be able just to live the everyday life.
Yeah. And you did that. And again, it's like for those listening, like the transformation has been wild. And, Rossi is getting his life back and he's getting his groove back. And I love to see that. Do you think that this is becoming more of an issue in society with dating, which is we're still set on the societal expectation, and particularly gay dating, like societal expectation of, hey, this is how I want my life to be. But the reality is this is not who I am. And I don't need to be so blunt, but it's like, hey, we were sold on this idea that we want the white picket fence. We
Mm-hmm.
want the family. We want monogamy. We want this person to die with and whatever. But the reality with gay dating is it just looks differently. And I'm not saying that it's one size fits all for anybody, but it's recognizing, hey, we're forming our own path of whether it's an open relationship, a poly relationship, a monogamous relationship. I think at the end of the day, there are going to be trials and tribulations. And I will give, your ex some leeway in the sense of he was young and he was younger than you and maybe just couldn't accept that about himself. But I do think it probes the question you can answer is how do you take steps to find out what kind of relationship you want?
I'm not going to hold back on this, and I'm just going to go for it, okay? And I genuinely believe that we live in a society where everything is at a click of a button.
Yeah.
We're in a throwaway culture that we want instant gratification,
Oh, totally.
and it's whether it's buying, whether it's with food, whether it's with sex, we want to feel an immediate satisfaction from life. To answer your question, I generally think that you have to look deep within yourself and you have to know who you are before you can go into a relationship so that you can tell that other person what you're looking for. And
Yeah.
that other person then can listen and they can make a decision whether that's going to be them or not. Now, the issue in this relationship with myself was he was not able to be monogamous, but he also didn't want to be open.
Yeah.
So what you're doing there is you're taking away my options because you're selfishly needing to go and do whatever you want to do. I'm just not knowing about it. Matthew,
Yeah.
I was in an open relationship and I didn't even know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm so progressive.
Oh my God. The new Martha Stewart over here.
But what I will say is, and I'm not going to hold back on this statement, okay?
Say it.
Grinder is a huge issue within the community. Now, I'm not against hookups.
She said it.
I'm not against hookups. I think you should be proud of whatever you want to do. And if that's what you want to do, good for you, boo, right?
Yeah.
But what I will say is when you have a certain amount of hookups, you eventually want connection. And
Yeah.
when you meet someone who is different to your everyday life, you then attach yourself by love bombing and trying to capture this person. And I'm maybe speaking out of exact experience of what's happened, right? I was love bombed. I was captured because I was different to every other person that he was hooking up with on the app. Okay. But people want the idea of a relationship, but they actually don't want what it takes. And in this instant, he wanted the idea of having a relationship, but he didn't want to give up this side, which is like the instant gratification from strangers.
Yeah.
And you have to look within yourself and be like, if this person I'm in a relationship with doesn't give me the satisfaction that John up the road with a 9-inch cock's going to give me,
Oh,
then I need to let this person know so they can move on with their life and find someone who will be that person for them.
absolutely.
Another thing I will also say, we have become so obsessed with visibility of what we deem to be attractive.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, porn has come into a huge part of that where we are watching straight creators be these masculine dominant people who we then obviously want because we're gay men and we want men, right? The issues with this is those creators are actually straight and probably bullied you at school, and now you're
Yeah.
paying $9.99 for their spicy link, right? You're paying $9.99 for their spicy link. So you're basically giving the money back to the guy that bullied you in school, and he's profiting off what he bullied you on. Now,
Oh my
make it
God.
make it make sense, because
Oh
then
my gosh. You're
because
so
then
right.
because then the problem with this is, right, we're then looking at as our ideal, and
Yeah.
we're trying to find someone who's going to be that visual for us in a relationship. But let me tell you
Yeah.
something, the straight man ain't going to be asking you what you want for dinner, and he's certainly not going to be consoling you when you didn't get that promotion. It's the guys who are the cute guys that people are flinching off, and the
Yeah.
nice guys that people are flinching from, because their sexual desires for these straight men on these Twitter things and all this type of stuff, this is what we're looking for to be the guy we want to date. It's not
Well,
going
it's
to
like
happen.
it's attachment to the trauma. I think that's a big thing that we all have is because that's how we didn't understand what it was like to have love. A lot of us suffer from family issues, suffer from growing up being bullied as a kid. And so that's the only way we accept validation from ourselves is this idea that no, we were bullied, so this is what we deserve. I
For
think that's
sure.
a big thing that for our listeners to understand. It's so cliche, but you accept the love you think you deserve. If you think you should be bullied, if you think you should be that, you're going to attract that. So, Rossi, tell us how going forward, how are you planning on recognizing that earlier on and maybe not going after the people you talked about being love bombed? And I'm sure that's something that I know I suffer from too. It's like you immediately get attached to these people that show you so much love. And that usually comes from people that are avoidant because that's how they attract anxious people because anxious people are overly loving and then avoidant people don't know how to show it. So they then go there and then
Bingo.
they're like, okay, well, this is what I know. This is how I show love. So how going forward are you going to one stand in your security of being in a relationship and two finding another person who is secure because I'm sure that's what a lot of people face.
Going forward, I will sit in the knowledge of my experience, and I will believe the knowledge from my experience. In the case of when I see it, I will walk away, and I'll have the
Yeah.
strength to walk away. It's knowing that a person will show you their true colors through their actions and not their words. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them and don't
Yes.
believe the word.
Maya Angelou.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like they are showing you. You have openly seen them. The only
Believe them the
difference,
first time.
leave them the first time. And this is the thing. What will happen is they will say everything they can because they know exactly what you want to hear. And then from that, then you'll doubt your brain, you'll doubt your experiences, and therefore you'll stay in something that you know, your gut knows, your morals know, the values know that you shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going forward, the minute someone shows me who they are, I will be like, thank you very much. I think you're a sweet guy, but you're not the one for me, which is what I should have done over a year ago.
It was a part of your chapter. It was a learning lesson. And now, like, what do they say? Like exes are the ones that lead you to your husband.
Jesus
Like,
love. Where's the fucking husband? I can't.
no, but I mean, I guess was the universe telling you this was something you needed to learn. And again, I think it builds us closer to being a more secure person
Yeah.
of, like we may think we're there. I know for my last relationship, I thought I was there. I was like, yeah, I'm in a great place. My like work was doing well. I was confident in myself. And then I got the epitome of what I thought was the perfect man. He was intelligent. He was attractive. I could have written on a piece of paper that that's what this person was. But I realized that I was so insecure about not having a lot of those things. And for me, dating him was such a win that I became so insecure. And when
Right.
I was saying, hey, I need these things from you, I need to feel validated. The more I asked for it, the more he turned away. And I'm now overly trying to
Hmm.
correct. And I learned like he had a lot of issues with connection, like point blank, and intimacy. And those are things that are necessary in a relationship. And for you to ask those things, it's not an anxious, it's standing by a need that you and your partner are supposed to work on together.
But being
And
honest with
unfortunately,
the answer too.
totally. And you know what? I didn't listen to myself in the beginning, but going forward, I have met great guys who are very secure with where they're at, who are able to show me that they like me, who are able to provide intimacy, who are able to provide validation. Partners are growing together, and you should independently feel confident in yourself. But it's important to have a partner that uplifts you and makes you shine as much as you bring your shine. And the problem with you and me, Rossi, is we both have really bright lights,
Hmm.
and we tend to attract people who have dim lights, and they absorb our light. I saw this TikTok the other day of like someone saying, when somebody says you have great energy, you typically don't have great boundaries, and they don't know how boundaries for themselves to say, hey,
Hmm.
I love that I'm with you right now, and I love that you're absorbing my energy, but like I need to keep this energy or else you'll completely suck it out and drain me.
Yeah.
So anyone who can relate to that, it's imperative to do the work on yourself of understanding your boundaries, understanding who is the person you're attracting, because again, there's also the savior complex too. We want to help because we are good people and we
Yeah.
want to be there for people, but recognizing that in the beginning, that if they're not there on their own, it's never going to work for you.
And also realizing that a lot of the time you're bringing the majority of the fun. But
And recognizing that's a currency. The energy and the way you make people feel is a currency.
Mhm.
We don't value it as much because we're like, oh, like what monetary, like we live in like, what is money, money, my money. But that like making people feel themselves is a skill that not a lot of people have, that is a currency in its own right. And that's something that you and
Yeah.
I mean, selfishly or narcissistically, I will say we have.
Say it, babes. I
Say
agree
it,
with you.
babe.
But do you know
Yeah,
what
it's
though?
true.
And this has been my closure. I met up with him and he said to me, I was in love with the way you made me feel.
Yeah,
And I
period.
selfishly kept you because I knew that you could give me the life that I've dreamed of,
Mhm.
but the sex was with strangers is such a high on my list that I can't get over that. And I was like, I looked at
Yeah.
him so like obviously, it's his choice of what everyone's do, but don't waste my time with that, please. Like I
Yeah.
always say, and Matthew's sick of this quote that I've said about 10 million times. I say in every relationship, here's the table. Put down whatever you want on that table. Honesty, truth, I will not be angry with you. The only time I will be angry is if you don't put it down on the table so then I can decide if I want to pick it up or not. Because if you're taking my options away, you're wasting my time. And my time is
Period.
precious. Do not
Clip
waste my
that.
time. So my closure
Clip.
is knowing that he lied to me, he lied to his friends, he lied to his family, and he was lying to himself. I wish him nothing but the best, but thank you next.
Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. Thanks for swiping left. And you tell
Yeah.
that to your
Thanks
ex.
for swiping
That's
left.
awesome. No, and I'm again, you are standing in your power, and it's really cool to see. And I'm so excited for this next adventure for you. Is it a new chapter, a new book? We don't know, but we are gonna continue writing.
Yeah, and I know I've got this feeling of there is a change coming. I'm so blessed, and I have to say that the people like yourself and everyone I've got around me is a testament to who I am as a person,
Yeah.
and it's shown me the differences of his life and my life, the people who have literally rallied and picked me back up, and I'm just excited to be able to bask in the joys of everyone's like beautiful personalities and souls now without having to worry about some hairy baby.
Again, thank you for being so vulnerable, Rossi. I think a lot of people can resonate with your story. I think I know I learned a ton, and I just love that we have a forum to talk
I
about
know.
this. So it's really nice. So Rossi, tell us, what is our episode about next week?
Next week is about losing your job. What happens when you lose a job and you don't think it's going to go the way it's going to go? But
Yeah,
it opens up a door because
you could be a badass boss bitch.
mhm,
Period. You could start a company, you could find a new job, you could not get a job, you could do whatever you want because life is your motherfucking oyster.
it really is. And Matthew is a testament to that, which you'll hear all about on next week's episode. Thanks for swiping left. I've been Rossi Lewis.
And I'm Matthew Conrado.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for swiping left. Episode 1.